Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining today. I trust that you all are enjoying and learning a lot at Realize this year, and the good stuff is just going to keep on coming. Are you ready to up your automation game? My name is Rick Micklig, and I'm a senior strategist here at WalkMe, and I'm joined today with Kendra Harbinson from Sun Life. We're going to be talking a lot about automation and a lot about the user experience, and thank you for joining today. So what we're going to be going through today is why automation, what is WalkMe automation specifically. We'll go ahead and introduce Kendra and Sun Life and our use case there. We'll actually have a pretty exciting demo towards the end of the presentation, so make sure you stick around for that. Talk about impact, give you some resources, really make sure that what you gather from today's session, you're able to start applying today, tomorrow, start talking with your teams about how you can start using automation to enhance the employee or customer experiences alike. So everybody understands that we all take PTO, right? We all have vacations, we have family time, whatever the case might be, and we always have to request time off. Requesting time off is a really basic example as to how somebody has to go through 10, 20, 30 different clicks, sometimes 1, 2, or 3 different applications in order just to get that Friday off or just to take an extra day on Monday. You have to go to Workday, you have to log in, you have to find the right applet within that application to then request the time off. You have to find the calendar, then submit your dates. All of these things are things that you do every single time, right? All of them all lead up to you just clicking submit. And then you wait, you get approval, and then you go ahead and have to make changes. Same thing happens, right? It's a lot of the same tasks over and over again. With WalkMe, what we want to do is eliminate a lot of those processes or tasks that happen every single time, right? Let's remove thinking about the application. Let's remove the logging in. Let's remove the finding the correct area or calendar that you need to be submitting this time off request in, right? Let's just ask the end user, hey, when do you want to take off? When are you coming back? Click submit, right? That makes it a lot easier. Maybe we have this popping up in someone's email account, or you have it popping up in their CRM where they know that they're working, in the majority of their day. We just want to reduce the amount of mundane tasks that it takes to submit an easy request like this. So if you're thinking about this, you're thinking about your own kind of processes or things that your customers or your employees are doing every single day, and you know that the system requires you to go through, 10, 20, 30 steps. Think about those tasks and processes that people do often and are done in the same ways or pretty much the same ways or in the same patterns, right? That's a really good starting off point for thinking, okay, well, maybe I can get rid of some of those navigational steps or get rid of some of those leaving it up to the user or choose your own adventure steps for the end user and coming up with some plans to automate a lot of that stuff. Some simple use cases from a department perspective. So what just went through the time off one from an HR perspective. Think about folks in sales. They have a lot of different systems that they need to be working in, whether that be a CRM, a contract system, legal, lots of things that they have to do on a daily basis. And rather than hunker down and do a lot of admin work, we're trying to eliminate a lot of that so that they can be out selling, doing what they're good at, doing what makes a company money. So thinking about those tasks like closing a contract, for instance, making that go from a prospect all the way to closed one, there's a lot of steps in there. How do we think about those things that happen every single time, get rid of those, automate that for the end user, and just ask the salesperson to fill in the data that's needed, contract value, XYZ, ABC, right? Anything within account management, travel scheduling, all of this stuff is really much, you're doing it every single day, or if you're not doing it every single day, anytime that you need to do it, you're doing it the same way every time, right? So thinking about these in the different use cases, different departments will be a really good way to start getting your feet wet a little bit about thinking about how can I improve this without changing the app or investing any time in the development of the native app itself. So with all the use cases that I just talked about, really can come down to 3 main buckets. Satisfaction, your employees, your customers are happy with the products that they're using. the limited amount of admin work that they have to do to get a task done or a process completed and continue on with their job, which goes into efficiency, right? I want to get it done quick. I want to get it done fast, so I can go back to what I'm doing. And then the biggest thing that we want to talk about is data, right? If I've got a 30-step process that can be done, in a bunch of different ways, collecting that data and having the knowledge on how people are navigating the site or interacting with an application can be challenging, right? Because people are submitting stuff in a bunch of different ways. If we can make sure that the data that we're automating is the same every single time, that reduces, human error and, data discrepancies and all that good stuff. So thinking about data from a data first perspective, I think is always good of how you can improve that and make better. So some key components of automation with WalkMe specifically. If you're familiar with the WalkMe editor, or if you haven't, it's the first time you're seeing this stuff, no worries. We'll provide a ton of resources following this session today on each of these individual ones. But basically we can create auto steps within a smart walkthrough, which is basically the step-by-step guidance that gets someone from point A to point B. We can use our action bot, which real-time conversation can get somebody to where they need to be and complete a task. We can take page actions like refresh, redirect, all that good stuff. And then also use dynamic text, right? So we can do a lot of those things, in conjunction with each other as well. And I could probably talk for, a couple hours on all 4 of these different aspects. And that's when you start coming up with the solutions, is really planning out what it is you want that user experience to be and what WalkMe's capabilities are. So with that, I'll just leave it at, these 4 main topics. And again, we'll provide a ton of information about this following this session. With that, I'd love to reintroduce Kendra. She's going to talk about Sun Life, our use case, and we'll get a little bit more into the weeds here. Kendra.
Thanks so much, Rick. Hi, my name's Kendra Harbinson, and I'm a dealer business development specialist here at Sun Life on our training and design team. And I'm very excited to be here with you today, share about Sun Life and the amazing solution that we were able to develop. So a bit about Sun Life. We were founded in 1865 in Montreal, Quebec, and we have a long history of being there for our clients and our communities in both good and tough times. We've been through 2 world wars, the Great Depression, epidemics, global crisis, September 11th, and what we're all living through right now, this global pandemic. But throughout all of these things, our purpose has remained to help clients achieve lifetime financial security and live healthier lives. We support a network of over 118,000 Sun Life advisors, third-party partners, and other distributors, and we employ over 50,000 people worldwide as well. So we are a big company with a big heart for people.
Yeah, and I love the company's name, Sun Life. What's the slogan that you guys use all the time, Kendra?
Life's brighter under the sun.
It is. That's just facts. That's just
it
fact.
Is absolutely.
I love that. I love that. So talk to me a little bit more about about the business issue, which led you to explore automation with WalkMe.
Thanks. Yeah. So we had a big ask here in Canada in 2021. There was a change coming starting in January of this year through the Canadian Securities Administrators. They were mandating enhanced regulatory requirements concerning an advisor's obligation to assess a client's risk profile. It's what we call KYC, or Know Your Client. And this was across all mutual fund dealers here in Canada. And this was going to require advisors to ensure that they have sufficient information around a client's risk profile, which includes risk capacity and risk tolerance, to enable those advisors to make a suitable determination for their client. So it was our goal to support our advisors in meeting this new regulatory obligation, but also establishing our compliance internal controls as well. We already had a goal-based KYC solution in place that was a part of our SVI app already. But after listening to the feedback from our field, it was really clear that we needed to have a digital option to support those that were going to use an account-based approach. So a few things that we needed to have part of our solution is we needed to develop this new option that would provide a consistent user experience in both English and French. It needed to be supportable and reliable, help to reduce inputting errors, drive efficiencies, and also provide those internal controls. And to top it all off, we had to complete all of this in the last 3 months of 2021 to meet that deadline.
Man, nothing better than a deadline at the end of the year, right?
No kidding. It was quite a journey.
Yeah, and I just find it so interesting that the idea about WalkMe and the ability to use it came out of something that we probably wouldn't have thought about, like a regulatory change in Canada, like sparked the idea of having to, shift the way the advisors work with their clients. And I think that just goes without saying that it's like, you have to really think outside the box in terms of what solutions are out there, but not only from a process perspective, but even just like saying the word regulatory seems scary to me and I'm assuming that would be as an advisor too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So why WalkMe?
So why WalkMe? So we have WalkMe on 3 other applications on other business streams here at Sun Life, and we've seen some really good success with that. Our team in particular just started to use WalkMe in June of 2021 on one of our advisor processes in our wealth management system, as I mentioned before, the SVI app. So we had already had some paper-based questionnaires, but business asked for a digital solution that would allow our advisors to complete the paperwork within the flow and have the output transferred back into the SVI app. We knew that our vendor would not be able to build out a solution in the timeline required, and also just the cost of that would be quite expensive as well. Looking at other potential solutions, a standalone application wouldn't solve the issue that we have of the data inaccuracy due to repetitive data entry. It wasn't going to support data mapping. It wouldn't reduce the number of questions that would need to be answered. And it would also lack the proper supervision controls that we would require as well. So we went ahead and engaged WalkMe and presented this crazy idea to see if they would you be able to meet all of these requirements in the timeline we needed? And
Amazing.
we did.
Yeah, we definitely did. And, just talking about that, what were some of those goals that we wanted to make sure that we outlined ahead of time, so we knew the type of solution that we were going to be building, had the impact that we were anticipating?
Yeah, awesome. And I know Ricky had said before, change isn't always easy. And especially when it comes to regulatory changes, it can be really scary and hard to navigate. We already knew 40% of our advisors were using an account-based approach in completing their KYC obligation rather than using the goal-based. So we needed this solution to kind of mimic similar to what they would be experiencing on the goal-based solution that we already had in place.
Mm-hmm.
And so we needed this one to be able to also monitor their behaviors to confirm that they're following the right compliance and following the regulations correctly. We needed to reduce the number of questions that they were being answered without impacting the output, and validate the accuracy of that output as well. And we also, the big piece of it was we needed it to fit into their existing workflow without disrupting their business practices. Again, supporting multiple languages. And also, just as a mutual fund dealer with our obligations, we needed to have provide that oversight and monitoring and compliance as well.
Wow. Lots of goals in place for this one, huh?
Lots.
Yeah,
Many moving pieces.
Yeah, for sure. Many moving pieces. Sounds like many different scenarios that we had to plan for. I love the fact that you brought up that we wanted to be considerate of the current workflow, and not disrupt what what advisors were doing today, but come up with something that was going to enhance that, kind of without them knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Help guide them along the way.
love that. All right, thanks for all of that, Kendra. So just as a recap, our solution needed to meet regulatory requirements while improving the end user experience, improve the know your client conversation while providing better services to clients, and have a seamless user experience with minimal data entry across multiple platforms. So to take a look at what that kind of maps out to from a 20,000 foot view, basically what we did is we had a WalkMe balloon that asked a question: hey, have you done the necessary investment profile yet? Yes or no. No path actually opens up a new application with a list of the questions that needed to be answered to get a result of that investor profile. An investor profile means how aggressive do you want the financial planning to be, or how conservative, and vice versa. So we basically had this decision tree that needed to be made based on an advisor saying yes or no. Both experiences still have WalkMe automation in it, which you'll see in a second here when we go into the demo. One has a little bit more of the grab data, put data into another field. The other one asks questions to the end users with specific prompts that asks, what was the result of your investor profile, which then goes down another path to fill in specific fields based on the values that the regulatory requirements were. So with that, I'd like to jump into a quick 2-minute demo, and I'll see you back here in a second.
When an advisor clicks on Update KYC, they'll be brought to the account page where WalkMe will automatically start. A user can select or deselect the accounts in which they are looking to update. WalkMe will also collect some certain data on this page to bring to the HTML that we'll get to in a second. When I select No, I'll actually be prompted into a new tab where the data that was collected from the previous site is now being automatically dropped into its appropriate field. You'll notice that all of the names that were selected are actually being added here as well, skipping those that were deselected. The user will then fill in a couple pieces of information and get down to the bottom of their investor profile where they'll actually get results. Here, a couple more pieces of data are filled in. I see my results. I'm asked if I need to override anything. If I want to override, I can change any of the values that are different than the default that resulted in my questionnaire. Once I'm satisfied, I can go ahead and click Save Details, which grabs the WalkMe data, stores it in the browser, and is ready to drop it in once I come back to my original application. Once I'm back, you'll notice WalkMe's ripple effect as it is importing all of the data from the previous form in the correct field. Once completed, I can go ahead and click Next.
Wow, that was impressive. Kendra, I need to know more about the impact of what that crazy solution resulted in.
Even every time I watch it, it just makes me so giddy on how well it works in the seamless movement of information. It's pretty incredible. So as we said before, knowing 40% of our advisors were going to choose to work account-based, we're really curious to see which of the options are going to get most utilized. So since launching this, we've seen about 60% using our option 1, meaning they've already completed the risk assessment profile outside of the system. They just need to come in and update the system. So they're using those prompts. And then 40% are using the actual digital HTML solution where they're filling out that actual profile right away and then having that output dropped into the SVI app again. So it's really neat to see that. We do have a really strong confidence that we're meeting our regulatory obligations, which is probably priority number 1. And we also have a confidence that the advisors are meeting theirs as well. And this solution really helps to ensure that every client is having a meaningful conversation with their advisor, who is identifying ways to meet their clients' changing needs as resulting in that deepened client relationship. Again, which is very important because that client relationship is very important to our advisors and also to Sun Life as a whole. It's also been really interesting to see how advisors work. And we knew, again, on the goal-based solution, we could see that, but really didn't have a way to see how they were conducting their work based on an account-based solution. So this has given us kind of a really good look at what it is that they do and how they do their work, and how are we able to, has this solution helped to manage some of that work and make it a little bit easier for them to do that. We also have, with that override feature that can be put in there, that helps for our internal controls. Again, also helps us to see where maybe coaching or training needs to happen with our advisors. They might be new, are they really understanding what it is that they're doing in here, and, being as impactful as they can with their clients.
Amazing. So not only are you getting kind of a bird's eye view as to how people are actually doing their jobs day to day, but you're actually then being able to act on that and look for opportunities to enhance the advisor's experience, so that at the end of the day, they're providing their clients with, the most premier support that they can.
Exactly.
So what are people saying about it? Do people notice it? Do advisors come back to you guys and say, wow, this is excellent? Like what are people saying?
You kind of can't miss it. And as at the same time, it has been a change, because again, they're used to doing work in a certain way. So, that always comes with a little bit of growing pains as we go along. But for the most part, advisors are really appreciating that it's making their job easier. It's, it's kind of a click and it can fill in things, and they don't have to worry about putting in information incorrectly. Probably one of my favorite ones, it comes from one of our high executives that just basically said it's magic. And it really is.
Magic. I love that. Amazing. So I know everyone is out there that's probably like, cool, how do I get started? This looks amazing. What do I need to do? Do you mind sharing just a couple tips and tricks as to how to, develop an effective automation solution?
Absolutely. We've learned a lot throughout this experience. So first off, make sure you have all the right people at the table. So not only those that represent the business, but also people that represent the user experience as well, because you really need to have kind of that well-rounded group of people to come at the solution from different points of view. It's really important to get a clear understanding of the problem and what the solution needs to encompass. So as best as you can, get an understanding of how your user works and uses the tool. So as we said, you want to build for the happy path, but really plan for that sad path, because others are going to probably do things that you didn't anticipate, hopefully, or not, and try to do things on their own. So kind of being anticipatory about that and how you're building will really help. Obviously, for a solution this size, it's really important to constantly test and get feedback from all the stakeholders that are involved. And probably one of my biggest pieces of advice would be, have someone at your table that isn't afraid to try and break it. That it's kind of their job to run down that sad path, just so that you can anticipate all various sorts of outcomes and really build that into your solution.
Amazing. Well, I just have to say, super impressive, not only planning phase, execution phase, but now we're actually getting into the exciting step where we're seeing actual results. So once again, Kendra, thank you so much for joining us today and all your hard work on this solution. And I'm super stoked that we were able to share it here with everybody today. And hopefully you guys can start thinking about how automation can work at your company starting tomorrow.
Thanks so much.
And like I said at the beginning, the good stuff is just going to keep coming here at Realize. Tomorrow, we have Jinja Tran, who will be going over creating optimal user experiences, followed by Peter Caldwell, who will talk about deploying content faster with solution templates. Awesome stuff, great stuff. Look forward to seeing those two tomorrow. Again, thank you guys for joining today. I hope you will be able to up your automation game starting tomorrow, and stay tuned for more resources, community posts, all that good stuff to follow. Thank you so much.